This discussion begins with a powerful moral thought experiment that places you in a position of urgent decision-making. Imagine yourself as the driver of a trolley moving uncontrollably down a track. Ahead, 5 workers are unaware of the danger. Your brakes have failed, and the collision seems inevitable. However, you notice a side track where only 1 worker is present. You have the ability to steer the trolley in that direction. The situation forces a difficult choice. Continue straight and allow 5 people to die, or divert the trolley and sacrifice 1 life to save 5. This scenario immediately challenges our moral instincts and invites us to reflect on how we evaluate right and wrong under pressure. Most people, when presented with this situation, instinctively choose to divert the trolley. The reasoning often given is straightforward. Saving 5 lives at the cost of 1 seems like the lesser evil. This reflects a natural human tendency to weigh outcomes and choose the option that results in the least harm overall. However, even within this majority viewpoint, there is room for deeper questioning. Is it truly acceptable to actively cause harm to 1 person, even if it prevents greater harm? Or does the act of intentionally steering the trolley carry moral responsibility that cannot be justified by numbers alone? When we shift the scenario slightly, the moral clarity begins to blur. Imagine now that you are no longer the driver but an observer standing on a bridge above the track. The same trolley is heading toward 5 workers, and once again, the brakes have failed. Standing next to you is a large man, and you realize that pushing him onto the track would stop the trolley, saving the 5 workers but causing his death. Despite the similar outcome, 1 life sacrificed to save 5, most people hesitate or refuse to push the man. This reaction reveals an important distinction in how we perceive moral responsibility. The contrast between these 2 scenarios highlights a key question. Why does one situation feel more acceptable than the other? In both cases, the outcome is the same. 1 person dies, and 5 are saved. Yet, actively pushing someone to their death feels fundamentally different from redirecting a trolley. Many people argue that physically causing harm through direct action carries a different moral weight than making a decision that indirectly results in harm. This suggests that our moral judgments are influenced not only by consequences, but also by the nature of the action itself. Some argue that the difference lies in intention and involvement. In the trolley case, the harm to the 1 worker is a side effect of redirecting the trolley, whereas in the bridge scenario, the harm is the direct means of saving others. This distinction is subtle but significant. It reflects a deeper moral intuition that using a person as a tool for achieving an outcome is inherently wrong, even if the outcome is positive. This idea challenges purely outcome-based reasoning and introduces the concept of moral limits. Another variation of the dilemma places you in the role of a doctor faced with limited time and resources. You have 6 patients, 5 with treatable conditions and 1 critically ill patient who requires all your attention. If you focus on the critically ill patient, the 5 others will die. If you treat the 5, the 1 will not survive. Most people choose to save the 5, once again favoring the greater good. Here, the decision feels more acceptable because it involves allocating effort rather than directly causing harm. However, the situation becomes more disturbing when the doctor is imagined as a transplant surgeon. 5 patients need different organs to survive, and a healthy individual nearby could provide all of them. Harvesting the organs would save 5 lives, but would require killing the healthy person. Almost no one finds this acceptable. This reaction reinforces the idea that there are moral boundaries that should not be crossed, regardless of the potential benefits. These thought experiments reveal 2 major approaches to moral reasoning. The first is based on consequences, where the right action is the one that produces the best overall outcome. The second focuses on principles, where certain actions are considered inherently right or wrong, regardless of their consequences. These approaches often come into conflict, as seen in the differing responses to the scenarios presented. The consequence-based approach is commonly associated with the idea of maximizing happiness or minimizing suffering. It suggests that moral decisions should aim to create the greatest overall good. This perspective is appealing because it provides a clear and measurable standard for evaluating actions. However, it can also lead to uncomfortable conclusions, such as justifying harm to individuals for the sake of the majority. On the other hand, principle-based reasoning emphasizes the importance of moral rules and individual rights. According to this view, certain actions, such as intentionally harming an innocent person, are always wrong, even if they lead to better outcomes. This approach protects individuals from being treated as mere means to an end, but it can also make it difficult to resolve situations where harm is unavoidable. The discussion of these dilemmas is not just theoretical. It reflects real-world challenges where decisions must be made under uncertainty and pressure. For example, public policies often involve trade-offs between competing interests, and leaders must decide how to balance individual rights with collective welfare. These decisions are rarely straightforward and often involve moral compromises. Philosophy plays a crucial role in helping us navigate these complexities. It encourages us to question our assumptions, examine our reasoning, and consider alternative perspectives. Rather than providing definitive answers, philosophy invites us to engage in ongoing reflection and dialogue. This process can be uncomfortable, as it forces us to confront uncertainties and contradictions in our beliefs. One of the key challenges in moral philosophy is achieving consistency between our principles and our judgments. When faced with different scenarios, we may find that our intuitions lead us in conflicting directions. This tension pushes us to refine our principles or reconsider our initial judgments. It is through this iterative process that our understanding of morality evolves. At times, it may be tempting to adopt a skeptical attitude and conclude that there are no clear answers to moral questions. However, such skepticism can lead to disengagement and a lack of responsibility. While it is true that moral dilemmas are complex and often unresolved, this does not mean that reflection and reasoning are futile. On the contrary, engaging with these questions is essential for personal and societal growth. The study of moral philosophy also has practical implications. It shapes how we think about justice, fairness, and responsibility in everyday life. Whether we are making personal decisions or participating in public debates, our moral framework influences our actions and judgments. By examining different approaches to morality, we can become more thoughtful and informed decision-makers. Importantly, the process of philosophical inquiry can be transformative. It challenges us to see familiar situations in new ways and to question deeply held beliefs. This can be unsettling, as it disrupts our sense of certainty. However, it also opens the door to greater self-awareness and understanding. The idea that philosophy can make us worse before making us better reflects this transformative process. By questioning established norms and beliefs, philosophy can create doubt and uncertainty. Yet, this is a necessary step toward developing a more nuanced and reflective perspective. It encourages us to move beyond simplistic answers and engage with the complexity of moral life. Ultimately, the goal of exploring these dilemmas is not to arrive at a single correct answer, but to deepen our understanding of the issues involved. By examining different perspectives and reasoning through difficult scenarios, we can develop a more comprehensive and balanced view of morality. This, in turn, can guide our actions and decisions in meaningful ways. The trolley problem and its variations serve as powerful tools for exploring these ideas. They highlight the tension between different moral principles and challenge us to think critically about our choices. While the scenarios may be hypothetical, the questions they raise are very real and relevant to our lives. As we continue to reflect on these dilemmas, it becomes clear that morality is not simply a matter of rules or calculations. It involves a complex interplay of emotions, intuitions, and reasoning. By engaging with these elements, we can develop a richer and more thoughtful approach to ethical decision-making. In conclusion, the exploration of moral dilemmas invites us to examine the foundations of our beliefs and to consider the implications of our choices. It encourages us to think deeply about what it means to act rightly and to take responsibility for our actions. While the answers may not always be clear, the process of questioning and reflection is invaluable. This journey into moral philosophy is both challenging and rewarding. It pushes us to confront difficult questions and to engage with the complexity of human life. Through this process, we can develop a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us, ultimately leading to more thoughtful and meaningful choices.